Welcome Toastmasters and welcome guests. I invite you all to stand while we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Is it right? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And who's our Toastmaster for today? All right, now I hand it over to our former president and Toastmaster of the day, Miss Meagan Picard.
Thank you. Former president sounds weird. All right, anyway, so we'll go ahead. Thank you all for joining us today. We will go ahead and dive right into our meeting, and I'm going to pass it over to James for the thought of the day.
Okay, thought of the day is everybody comes to a point in their life when they want to quit, but it's at that moment that determines who you are.
I love it. Thank you so much, James. And moving right along, I will go ahead and introduce our functionaries for today's meeting. And I will start with the all counter, which is going to be Eli.
Greetings, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. The purpose of the all counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen to filler sounds, including ah, and I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase, such as I, or this means, this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Eli. I'm ready. Last week I got 11. This week I'm trying to cut that down. Next up, we have our grammarian, which thankfully stepped up. Thank you so much, Jason.
Yeah, no problem. So my role as a grammarian is to take note of proper use of the English language during our talks and present a word of the day. So the word of the day is eventide. And it's a noun, and the definition of it is the end of the day or evening. So an example of the usage of eventide is the garden is filled with flowers that only open at eventide.
Thank you. Never heard that word before, so I learned something new today. Moving right along, I will move it over to our timer, which is Miss Debi Jo Londono.
Oh, thank you. So today I'm serving you as your timer. I'll be hoping the speakers try to express my thought within a specific time. My duty is to time prepared speeches, table topic speeches, and speech evaluations. So I will show the green when you get to the allotted time. So I'm assuming the speaker is 5, 6, and 7. Is that correct? Yellow when you get to 6 minutes for speeches, 1.5 minutes for table topics, and 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes for evaluations. And the red will be 7 minutes for speeches, 2 minutes for table topics, and 3 minutes for evaluations. And at the end, when asked by the general evaluator, we report our findings. Thank you. This is the first time I've used this, so I'm hoping for it. Thank you.
Looks good, Debi Jo. Thank you. All right, with that, I will go ahead and move it right along to our first speaker today, well, our only speaker today, which is Claudia. And her speech is titled, Warning, Warning. Due to recent national events, Claudia is dusting off a previous speech about the importance of recognizing warning signs of political manipulation. Please welcome her as she gives her speech, Warning, Warning.
Thank you, Meagan, former President Meagan Picard. So I want to preface this with, it's still very scary to speak in front of you guys, even virtually, so bear with me. I will be a little bit nervous. Not only because I'm still a bit nervous when I speak in front of people, but because this is a very sensitive topic, I gave a similar speech back probably almost a year ago now, when there was some rioting, and then the media was doubling down on the primary election campaigns and all that. So things got very scary very fast. I read a quote the other day, and it reminded me that we are in a battle. There's media manipulation, there's political manipulation going on right now, and they're being very successful in distracting and pulling at raw emotions so that they can come in and manipulate us in very, really scary ways. Especially because when we're scared and when we're feeling frustrated and outraged, it's very easy for people to come in and exercise more power over us as a country. So today's speech will be to discuss 3 warning signs that you can look for. And I'll share the quote with you right now. The quote was, "Freedom is never more than 1 generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same." This is a very real time in history where we need to protect our rights. We need to be smarter than those who think they're smarter. So with that, warning sign number 1, vilifying those with different opinions than us. Previously, our country has held many, many elections. And previously, after an election, there was always a side of a 2-party system, essentially. One side won and one side lost, and people got on with their lives after the election. Now we see riots. We see buildings set on fire. We see hate crimes. Why is that? It's because there has been a vilification of those that have different opinions than us. If you have a different letter on your voter's registration, you are now being labeled as evil. Families are being ripped apart due to those little letters on the voter's registration, or even hats that they wear. Congress people are calling for punching of people who are simply wearing hats and shirts, because those are now symbols of hate, of evil. And it's a very real way to manipulate people. You start to forget that we are all human beings allowed to have different opinions in this country, peaceful opinions, and you start to label them as evil, and therefore it is very easy to justify being violent against them. And that leads me to warning sign number 2. Beware of calls for violence. This is the United States of America. We have the freedom of speech. We should be able to call out when we think things are wrong. When we think there is something wrong with society that needs to be changed, it is our right to stand up and protest for it. It is our right to boycott financially. It is our right to give our opinion posted online. It's not our right to be violent, to destroy things. Unfortunately, as much as people try to justify it, it is not our right to do that. It is our right to voice our free speech. So beware of calls for violence. That is not a form of free speech. That is unlawfulness. And I realize this is part of my scary feeling of giving this kind of speech, is because it's a very sensitive topic. But the fact still stands that calls for violence are typically from nefarious entities who are trying to manipulate and control and cause chaos so that they can do something not so good, it's a distraction so that they can do something in the background. And at the end of the day, it's all about getting power. So that's ultimately, I believe, what this is about. There's a lot of distraction, there's a lot of calls for violence, so that someone with ill intentions grabs more power. So be aware of that. Warning sign number 3 is censorship. Again, this is the United States of America. We have been founded on the ability to speak freely. And now we see a Facebook boycott. And let me tell you, Facebook is no stranger to censoring. They have been censoring hate speech, and it's very funny because you'll see certain satirical articles or blogs are okay, but then other satirical articles are fact-checked because they're not taking the joke lightly. They're using the ability to censor by protecting us from hate speech. And so we now are starting to see censorship and picking and choosing. But why now? Why? Because that was already happening. Why are we seeing a Facebook boycott? And that's because they want to, the nefarious manipulating entities that I'm referring to, they won't stop. You can acquiesce and they'll come back for more. And so while censorship has been happening in the background already, they want more. And so now these corporations and whatnot, they're boycotting Facebook because they want more censorship than what is already out there. So that is definitely a warning sign to look out for, because this country has been founded on free speech. And what's to say what is offensive? Really, what is to say what is offensive? Tomorrow I could write on Facebook, you know what? I don't really like Chinese food anymore. And someone could get offended by that. It is not in my control to possibly fathom what somebody may get offended by. So it is a slippery slope. It's a very hard line to draw. And so that's why we need to protect against censorship. So Debi Jo is now read, and I will conclude with another quote. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. We need to think very carefully as to how we're going to respond to what's happening today. I think the first step in determining how to respond is to put on a fresh lens and recognize that we are being manipulated. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. You did a great job. Even though you wrote to me earlier and was like, I don't know, I'm a little nervous. I think you did amazing. So thank you for sharing.
Also, if anybody got offended by my speech, please let me know. I am the only income in my household, so I need this job.
All right, with that, I will go ahead and go back to Debi Jo for a timers report, please.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know I was going to do it. So for the speech was 7 minutes and 57 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will move it over to our favorite time of the meeting here, which is going to be our table topics, led by Michael today. Michael, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. We will just have one question today, so those of you who speak later will have some time to prepare. The question today is, what do you plan to do when you retire? What do you plan to do when you retire? Do we have a volunteer? Claudia, were you volunteering? Okay, go for it.
Okay. If anybody knows me personally, I love cruising. Cruising is the ultimate best way to travel. It includes your food, your transportation, your entertainment, all in one price. Cruising is great, and also it's much cheaper than nursing homes. So my plan is to go on endless cruises until I die, because they have a way to take care of you once you die as well.
I could go next.
Okay, go ahead, Manu.
Oh, sorry, I started off with an but so one of the things that I think I would do when I retire is, of course, travel. I got married much earlier, had the kids much earlier, so I think there are a lot of things that I wanted to do, could not due to various circumstances. So I plan to make a bucket list and just knock one by one. Go to Vegas, go travel all across the US, and then abroad, or whatever it is I can do, go play pool, find my own time, do all of those things, drive around. So I have a long list of things I do want to do. But most of all, I hope my kids would be nearby and I still get to visit them. So that is another big deal for me too. Thank you.
Thanks, Manu, and thank you, Claudia. I don't think I had thanked you. Allison, I see your hand. You can go next.
Hi, thank you. I went to college and grad school in South Florida, and there's a large elderly population down there. So I learned all about what to do and not do when I get older. One of the things I would like to do, I play a lot of golf, and I learned how if you don't stay active when you get older, that's how I guess people end up in nursing homes or losing some of their memory. So I was thinking of working like one day a week at a golf course, because if you do that, you get to play golf for free for the rest of the week. Also, a lot of my professors in business school were like old retired businessmen. So I figured I'll get burnt out by working in corporate America probably earlier, before I turn 65. But if that's the time frame that it is, probably teach a class maybe once a week at like a community college. I'm someone that likes to stay really busy. So I know some people get really excited about retirement, but I feel like for me, I would get like really bored. So I think working one day a week and then also teaching at a college would be fun. A lot of statistics. I loved your speech, by the way, Claudia. Some statistics say with the older population that there's like a lot of like STDs. So I'd have to make sure that I'm careful in that time frame if I go out on dates and meet people, whatever. But yeah, really just like golfing and being safe and having fun and teaching at a school. That's what my retirement plan is. I think Florida or one of the other states that has tax breaks or like a death tax, so my family wouldn't have to pay for that. Because I know some people who are older that died in New York or New Jersey, you have to pay a lot of money for that. So as I work in finance, I think about that kind of stuff too. So thanks.
Thanks, Allison. Eli, you go for it. Actually, unmute yourself and then go for it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties over here. I don't think that I want to retire necessarily in the traditional sense. I think I would rather do more of a blended retirement. It kind of sounds like what Allison was describing, but she wanted to work maybe one day a week. I think even that would probably be not enough. I think the key really, for me at least, would be for all the reasons that Allison brought up. You want to stay busy. You don't want to become bored. You want to have time to invest yourself in something that you really care about, right? Beyond taking care of yourself and staying sharp, I think that it's really a time that you can go and pursue something that's your passion, because theoretically you'll have enough money saved up to where the downside of failing at whatever you're trying to do is not as bad as it would be now. Right now for me, getting married in a few months, right? At some point we're going to start a family. one of those things where if I try and go out on my own and do my own thing, work for myself at some point, there's a lot of risk involved with that. A lot of people counting on me. In retirement, I think that you get more chances to try something new and really do what you want to do for work almost. So I think it's maybe not a true retirement, but I would like to work for myself doing something I'm passionate about, maybe some form of baseball coaching or, getting involved in a cause that I really care about from like an entrepreneurial side. That would be my retirement plan.
Thanks, Eli. At this rate, everyone's going to be able to answer the table topic. Do we have a volunteer? Monica, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm having a little bit of audio issues, so can you guys hear me? Okay, good. So actually, I have taken this time of COVID to really think about this question because I'm within 2 decades of retirement. We'll just leave it at that. And I have decided that maybe having to do monthly and quarterly consolidations and closes for the next odd number of years may not be something I'm really passionate about. So I have actually started doing a lot of online courses. I even talked to Manu because I'm looking at doing the CISA certificate or certification and get the exam because I really want to do more traveling. And I'm like, I could be an auditor again. I was an auditor when my kids were little and kind of gave it up because I really needed to be at home as they got into those teenage years and couldn't be leaving for, weeks at a time to come home. But they're grown now. I've got one that lives in LA, one that lives in London. I need a job where I get to go to LA and I get to go to London. So I don't have to pay all my own money to go visit my kids. So really my plan is to transition into another type of job that gives me travel now. And then when I'm ready to retire, I can just do consulting work and help out on the odds and end things and just kind of relax, go some places and chill out. So that's my plan.
Thanks, Monica. As an auditor myself, I have to admit that was not an answer I was expecting to come up in this topic at all, but at least it's before you retire.
That's right. That's right.
Do we have any more volunteers? Do we still have time? I'd be happy to come up with another question if people want to go again.
I see Debi Jo's hand is up.
Oh, Debi Jo, please.
I'll go on time myself. Retirement. I'm probably closest to retirement closer than anybody else on this call. And I've been thinking about this for probably 30 years now. I'm just kidding, but I'm really looking forward to retirement. Never have I been looking forward to it more than now. Because not only do I very gratefully and thankfully have a full-time job with Wyndham, I have another full-time job with Toastmasters. It's a 4-year commitment. I just started yesterday my 2nd year of the 4-year commitment. And hunty, let me tell you, I'm busy. I'm busy all the time. Always something. And I have just all my siblings and my parents and some of their friends have a little cabin at the lake. Not the same one, they all have different ones. They're not even retired and they're at the lake all the time and getting these videos. They were there on my birthday, but I was here. So I am just looking forward to whether it's retired. I will get snowbird, okay? Because I went out this morning and did some weeding and I was just like 8 o'clock in the morning, sweating so hard. And I'm thinking, I really need to be a snowbird because right now, in Carolina and Asheville in the mountains, you can step outside most times of the day and actually breathe. It's still hot enough, it's down to 60 at night. I'm just looking forward to being a snowbird. I don't even have to retire. If I could, actually, if we stayed working from home, I could technically do that and be a snowbird now. But I'm really, really looking forward to spending a lot of time on the lake with the family and having fun. So thank you.
Thank you, Debi Jo. the rest of you? There's not many left. Well, if anyone wants to go again, another question that I have. Several of you had brought up learning new skills, new hobbies. If time and money were no object, what would you like to learn more about and why? Casey.
Well, if anybody knows me and has seen my earlier speeches, you know I quite enjoy disasters. And even though I am studying emergency management, if I could do or learn anything, it would be aviation management and aviation safety. I would love to work with the National Transportation and Safety Board investigating air accidents. The classes are extremely expensive, like $2,000 some for one class. So if time and money were not an object, I would definitely still be at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, taking those classes and working towards what I would really, really like to do, as opposed to just something that I enjoy doing, which is where I am right now. Granted, I love it, but if I could do anything, it would definitely be working with aviation and even maybe becoming a pilot myself. But anything to do with planes is very, very expensive.
Thank you, Casey. Jason.
Okay, cool. So if time and money isn't an object, I think what I would like to learn to do and build on skills to be like a captain of a ship. So my dad, like his job was like he's a merchant marine, so you have transport oil and stuff like that on ships and stuff. So something I would like to do is like be able to explore the open seas, to be able to be in the waters, go fishing, and really maybe be a captain of a cruise line. I don't know. Like I just like feel like I would really enjoy being in the waters and having the freedom to go wherever you want to go. There's no rules in the sea, so that'd be kind of fun. But yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you. Perhaps you can get some good deals for Claudia when she retires.
Probably. The cruise lines.
We don't have any more volunteers. I don't have any other questions prepared, so I will turn it back over to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Michael. All right, Debi Jo, you have quite a timer's report to give here.
I do. So, Claudia had 22 seconds for the new record. Manu followed from the right 53 seconds. Allison 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Elisha 1 minute and 35 seconds. Monica 1 minute and 22 seconds. Debi Jo had 1 minute and 52 seconds. Casey 1 minute and Jason 49 seconds. Thank
Thank you. All right, Ryan, I just wrote to you. Is there a limit on this poll?
There is no limit, and we're good to go.
Awesome. Did you want to do that now, or did you want to wait until after the
We can do it right now.
All right. So voting will pop up on your screen.
Okay. As a result of almost everybody speaking on table topics today, I'm going to encourage everybody must vote because it's really going to come down to like one other person that's not going to vote for themselves because they didn't speak. It's pretty well going to decide this. So here comes our poll today for best table topics. All right, I've got 10 out of 11 people have cast their vote. If there's one more person who hasn't voted that would like to vote. If not, I'm going to close the vote. Last call for that one person who has not yet voted. Okay, then the polling is now closed.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan. I will go ahead and start our evaluation portion of the meeting, and Casey will be evaluating Claudia.
All right, Claudia, this has been the primary topic at our dinner table for I don't know how long now. And I've actually written 2 papers about similar subjects and just how much social media has impacted people's views towards this subject. I will tell you I was not offended at all and actually happy to be evaluating this particular topic because it has become increasingly important to me, seeing how it has impacted especially my Facebook wall. And I won't even go on Facebook anymore because it's just so much negativity about any views that are different from your own. Your quote of freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction is ringing true today as younger people are being manipulated by what they see in the media and the people around them. And for me, I saw it firsthand in high school. Almost everybody in my political science, except for myself, was more of that left leaning. I was the only conservative or center right in my class and got mocked and made fun of because my beliefs were different from theirs. They would say, get with it. You don't know what you're talking about. But I tried to see both ends of the story, which you don't see in America. You have to go to Canada or the UK to get an unbiased view of the political climate. And it is becoming very true as we see that anybody with a different view, like you said, is vilified for having that. And it's sad to see people getting screamed down and just kind of beaten down because their views are different. Look at what happened with Drew Brees. He said his opinion and people didn't like his opinion. So then he changed his views to make everybody else happy. You managed to keep an even tone throughout your speech. And I could see this was something that you had a lot of emotion about. So you kind of kept yourself cool and collected throughout that instead of getting all upset. But I'm sure your real emotion was saying about it. And I did like how you started and ended with a quote. Your first quote did open the door to what you would be speaking about. And your last quote did close out the speech very well. And this was a very powerful topic, and I think you did handle it with a lot of tact.
Thank you, Casey. I will go ahead and turn it over to our timer, Debi Jo.
I almost missed that. Sorry. I missed the break, but the time was 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
Thank you, Debi Jo. All right, I'll go ahead and start our back table. We'll go ahead and start that off with Eli as the all counter.
Sorry. Mute button got me again. My report is as follows. For Claudia, we are combining the the speech and the table topics here. 9 ahs, 5 ums, 1 1 so, 2 repeated words, and a you know. Then we have Manu, who is a second table topic speaker, 2 ums and 2 you knows. Allison, 1 ah, 1 2 likes. Eli, myself, I noticed at least 1 ah and 2 you knows, probably more, but I didn't notice. But I'll juice the numbers a bit for me. Debi Jo, actually, I had an issue with the audio coming through, so it was really tough for me to distinguish if you said any filler words or not. So we had 0 on the official ledger. Monica had 1 ah. Jason had 2 ahs and 2 so's and 1 and stuff used as a filler. Casey, I counted one well used as a filler, and that was it actually over both the evaluation and the table topic speaker. So good job.
Thank you. I was like trying to find my mute. My mouth was like all the way over here. I'm like, where is it? All right, with that, I will go ahead and send it over to our grammarian, Jason.
So I did not know anyone using the word of the day, which is eventide. Kind of disappointed, but hey, at least we all learned a new vocabulary today. And that's about it. I don't really have anything else to report. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I didn't say it. I sang. You can't count it. Okay. I will go ahead and send it over to Ryan. Yes, Ryan, to announce best table topics.
Okay, the votes are in, and today our best table topics virtual ribbon goes to Monica Smith. Congratulations.
Great job, Monica. With that, thank you all for attending today, and I will go ahead and send it over to the president, Mr. Ryan Stiner.
Thank you, Madam President. It is, by the way, an honorary term after the president leaves, so she will always continue to be Madam President. I did dress up in my nicest formal wear for today for the first Toastmasters meeting with the new administration. Before I talk about some of the things coming up, I want to take a moment just to applaud Claudia for taking a very challenging topic. And you did something very, very good with this topic. I was paying very close attention for cues, and there were none. So no matter who your audience was today, no matter what anybody's political viewpoint was, everybody could have taken your message and applied it to them. So none of us know for sure what side of the fence you're on. And what you did was took something that could have been very controversial, it could have been potentially divisive, but it didn't leave any room in there for somebody to say, she's talking about that other side. So thank you very much for being brave and doing something that was so well crafted that nobody, I hope, could have found offense in that. Thank you, Claudia. I'm very excited about the things that we have coming up over the course of the next several months. We are going to continue to move forward with all of these Zoom-based meetings indefinitely. You would have noticed that we are recording this meeting. We've been recording our past meetings. We will record all future meetings, and I'm building a database of all of our recorded speeches. If in the future, at any time, you have given a speech and you would like to be able to have access to that speech, I will gladly send you the link so that you can watch it, you can stream it, or you can even download a copy of it. So you could, if you have editing software, you can crop out everything else and you can just keep your speech for your own records. We are going to bring some themes to our future meetings. We'll try to do themes approximately once a month. We're not going to theme every meeting, but there will be some frequent themes in there. Crescent has already made it very clear that it is important to her that we recognize Harry Potter's birthday. For anybody that's not aware that this is a very important thing to Crescent, so we will have a wizarding magic themed meeting in recognition of his birthday. We're also going to bring in some guest speakers, both speakers from the corporation to talk to us, as well as some leaders from the area that have made public speaking, made a career out of public speaking. Our very first public speaker will actually be next week. Our guest speaker is Obi Diaz. Some of you might know Obi Diaz as the former host of the Obi and Little Sean show on Power 95.3, the hip hop station. He is now, Megan, I'm getting there. He is now the current host of the Obi and Ashley show on K92 FM. So he is the former hip hop host and now the current country host. You want to talk about diversity? There you go. That's range for you. He's going to talk to us next week about the importance of word choice. And then next month's guest speaker who has not locked in her topic yet is Maureen McCann. You might know Maureen McCann as the meteorologist for Spectrum News 13. So she'll be joining us towards the end of the month in August. I want to bring in various guest speakers so that we can also continue to show value in this club for some of our top leadership. Our leadership needs to know very well that we exist, what we do, and I would love it if our leadership also saw the additional value, so maybe they'd like to send a little extra money our way. As such, please submit any ideas that you have. If there's somebody, especially if you have any contacts, if there's any specific contacts that you have that you would like to see them as a guest speaker, please reach out to me, share those contacts with me. Or if you just have a wish list of somebody that you would like to include, I welcome you to reach out to that person, but I also have absolutely no fear of blindly reaching out to somebody. I don't know the meteorologist. I just watch her in the morning. So I sent her an email, and turns out she loves Toastmasters, always wanted to be a Toastmaster, but never knew how to find out anything more about the club. So she jumped at the idea. Since we are streaming all of our meetings indefinitely, there is no limitation to where these speakers would come from. It doesn't have to be somebody that has to be able to physically show up. So if there's somebody that you would like to hear from and they live in California, well, we can try. We can certainly reach out to somebody that wants to get up at 9 a.m. and speak to the group. Yep, that's right, 9 a.m. And we'll see what we can do. Thank you all very much for being here for our first meeting of the new administration. Keep an eye out for new opportunities, new guest speakers. Share the word. There's no restriction on the number of people that can come in as a guest, except for how many that Zoom can actually accommodate. I have to cut it off at 250. And you know what? I would love to be forced to have to cut it off one day because we actually hit 250. That's it for me. Meagan, you're a wonderful Toastmaster today in your first return role as a contributor and no longer an officer. Thank you, everybody else, for coming, and enjoy your lunch.
May I have a moment?
Yes, please, Debi Jo.
So one of my goals for this year is to have something that I'm calling the leadership bench, and I'm basing that on Wyndham. And what that means is people throughout the district who are interested in becoming a leader, whatever that means. So with that in mind, all the club officers will be getting an email from me today at 12 o'clock. Oh, it probably went out already. We're scheduled for the TLI. We're doing a TLI online now. You do not have to be a club officer to attend. And this year, this round, there's no charge. So please attend TLI. Learn not only about the officer roles that are available, but we have several good things. And I love what you're doing, Ryan. Another plan I have is have webinars every month with script to have access to. So maybe I'll share some of the people that I have with you. Maybe you can share some of your guest speakers with the whole district. That'll be awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Anybody else? I don't want to cut off anybody that had something important to share before we all go get some lunch. My stomach's making the same noises that Casey's cat was making earlier. No, that's it. Okay, well then I'm just gonna give a quick ask then to Monica. Hey Monica, who's Leslie Jordan?
Instagram, Leslie Jordan, and you will find out who Leslie Jordan is.
Well, shit, how y'all doing?
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all.
Shit. You having sex? So those are the things that
he goes, hey, fella hunker downers.
Yeah.
He's got a southern accent. He's like my height.
He's adorable.
He is adorable. He's hysterical. He lives in California, but he was in Chattanooga for several months. So. Okay,
I'm willing to explore that.
Yeah, just look. He's supposed to be the gem of quarantine.
He's got my birthday. I'm looking at his Wikipedia right now.
He was, if you watched Will and Grace,
Yeah.
he was Leslie.
He
where
was
that?
Karen's like frenemy.
Yeah. I didn't watch the show, but I have seen the clips now. So
Okay. Yeah,
he's
please
hysterical.
send any other recommendations my way. We've got this month and next month booked, but I would love to see 12. I would love to see one every month.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.